It was a bright and sunny morning. The sky was clear, the wind was soft, and little baby Mark was ready for a big adventure. Today, he was going to the farm. Mark sat in his stroller, holding his tiny red bucket. He looked left, then right. Everything was new, exciting, and full of colors. Green fields stretched as far as his big brown eyes could see. And right ahead stood a big red barn, shining in the morning sun. When they arrived, Mark stepped out carefully. His tiny sandals touched the dusty ground. He heard birds singing, and then, cluck, cluck, a chicken ran past him. Mark giggled, clapped his hands, and chased it. The chicken flapped its wings, running even faster. It was the start of a perfect farm day. Inside the barn, it smelled like hay and sunshine. Mark looked around. There were wooden beams, shiny tools, and small feathers floating in the air. A rooster crowed loudly, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Mark tried to copy him. "Cuckoo!" He laughed so hard, even the chickens stopped for a moment to stare. Then, Mark saw something wonderful. In a little wooden box under the soft hay, an egg. He gasped and looked at his mom. Should he touch it? No, he just smiled and whispered, "Wow." It was like discovering treasure. Outside, the sun was bright. Mark saw tiny yellow chicks following their mama hen. He crouched down, holding out his hand, and one chick peeped curiously. "Peep, peep," it said. Mark laughed and softly touched its fuzzy head. After a while, he got tired and sat beside a big hay bale. The straw was warm, and the air smelled sweet. A friendly hen jumped next to him. Mark petted her gently, and she didn't move away. They sat together like old friends. Suddenly, a loud oink made Mark turn his head. There was a pig pen nearby, full of muddy little piglets. Mark ran to the fence and leaned over. One pig looked up and snorted. "Oink! Oink!" Mark laughed and copied the sound. He even tried to feed them grass, but the piglets only wanted mud. When one of them splashed, a drop of muddy water landed right on Mark's cheek. He froze for a second, and then burst into giggles. His mom smiled. "You silly boy," she said, wiping his face. Next, Mark helped the farmer pour water into the trough. The bucket was heavy, but he did his best. Splash! Water spilled everywhere. The farmer laughed. "Good job, little helper." Then it was time to see the cows. They were huge, much bigger than Mark had imagined. One cow leaned down, sniffed the grass in his hand, and gave it a big lick. Mark laughed so hard that he almost fell over. He made a loud moo and clapped his hands when the cow answered back. Two new friends had just met. And just then, someone else came running. A big, friendly farm dog. Its tail wagged like crazy. Mark squealed with joy. He knelt down, and the dog licked his cheek with a big slurp. Mark's laugh echoed through the whole yard. From that moment, the two were inseparable. After all that fun, Mark noticed a red tractor parked nearby. It looked giant. Shiny wheels, a tall seat, and lots of buttons. With the farmer's help, he climbed up and held the steering wheel. "Vroom," he said, pretending to drive. He waved to the cows, to the chickens, and even to the dog. The tractor engine started, and it began to move slowly along the dirt path. The wind played with Mark's hair, and his laughter filled the air. The tractor passed by the pond, where ducks were swimming lazily. Mark pointed and shouted, "Duckies!" He tossed tiny crumbs of bread, and they all hurried toward him. One duck quacked loudly, as if to say, "Thank you." Mark couldn't stop laughing. He walked onto a small wooden dock and looked at his reflection in the water. It rippled and waved back at him. "Hi, me," he said softly. He blew a kiss to the water and giggled when a frog jumped in nearby. On the way back, the fields were full of wildflowers. Mark picked one, a small yellow flower, and held it up to the sky. A butterfly landed on it. He froze, smiling with pure awe. For a moment, the whole world seemed quiet. Just him, the butterfly, and the warm golden sun. Later, when the sun began to set, Mark sat on a wooden bench beside his mom. He held his little red bucket and leaned his head on her arm. The sky turned orange and pink, painting the barn and fields in soft light. Cows mooed in the distance, and birds flew home to their nests. The dog lay at their feet, half asleep. Mark yawned, rubbing his tiny eyes. "What a day," his mom whispered. He smiled sleepily, holding his toy cow close. That night in his crib, Mark looked out the window. The moon was big and round, shining over the quiet farm. He could still hear the soft sounds of animals, a distant moo, a faint oink, and the whisper of the wind through the trees. He smiled, clutching his toy, and murmured, "Good night, farm. See you tomorrow."